So a lot of people get exposed to BDSM through pornography. I don't watch a lot of like male dom oriented porn, so I really can't comment on any of that. But today I'm going to talk about some of the differences that I've noticed between femdom porn and real life. Hi guys, it's Morgan with BDSM Relationships and Education. Thank you very much for checking out this video. If you haven't done so already, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. That way you know every time I post a new video. So today we're going to talk about femdom porn. And I should disclose right up front that I do certainly have a bias here. Part of my work as a pro dom, I have filmed and done many clips over the years. And I do have a store over on C4S, because if they hear the actual name of the website, I will get in trouble. But you can find it through my website if you are interested in some of my clips. Now, what I do would not be considered like femdom porn necessarily. They're fetish clips. There's no sex involved, or at least on my part. And it's more like a snapshot of actual play. Like, I have played with the bottoms that I film with in the same way that I would play with a partner as a general rule. So you don't get a lot of that sort of like high fantasy kind of stuff, but you do get a better idea of realistic play. But there's a lot of pro doms who do the same thing. You know, we play with people on film the same way we would in real life, except, you know, we usually get dressed up and put on a lot more makeup to do it on film. But what I'm talking about in this video today is sort of the more femdom porn stuff that is like produced by a bigger studio, and, you know, more professional, not amateur clips and stuff like that. So anyways, with all that out of the way, oh, I should also mention too, yes, that what I do would fall into the category of feminist porn. Basically, and I've even actually spoken at and taught at the Feminist Porn Awards, which was a really great opportunity and very cool. But as a general rule, it just means that we have a variety of performers, body types, gender identities, orientations, etc., 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 and that everybody is a, you know, willing partner in the production rather than a more exploitive sort of relationship. You could also kind of, I guess, refer to it as ethical porn, if you like. So let's talk about some of these differences now that I've babbled for a couple of minutes there. So in porn, you see a lot of ideas of humiliation. So you get that whole worthless worm thing. You know, the guy, the bottom in it is like, he's just not good enough, but he'll still get a blowjob at the end anyways. In reality, humiliation is a niche fetish. There are people who are really into it. It tends to be more male-driven than anything else. But there are women, dominant women, who are into humiliation as well. But don't expect, it's certainly not something that all dominant women do, or even most dominant women do. It is more of a niche fetish, you know, so don't be surprised if you meet people that, like myself, where I don't do verbal humiliation. It's just not my thing. Female supremacy is another one that you see a lot of, and it's sort of the same general idea, but just taken to that next extreme, that you see a lot of in porn. You know, it's that idea that women are superior, men are inferior, and I don't know what else, but that's the basic premise. That is a very niche kink. You will not find a lot of women that are into it. You, again, find a lot of men that are into that, and it's a very male-driven kink. You will see a lot of professionals using it, and as a general rule, we've always told people, if you find profiles on like sites like FetLife or whatever, and you know, they're talking about like, you know, female supremacy and that kind of stuff, there is a good chance, not always, but there is a good chance that they're after your money, not a relationship. So be able to understand that and recognize that it's usually something that you see a lot of pros do. Obviously, you know, not all female dominants are the same. Some like things that others don't. There will be some who are into female supremacy, but they are there's not very many. I can think of maybe 2 or 3 that I've met in my entire like lifetime and all of my time within the kink world. In porn, you see a lot of these sort of forced femme type stuff where, you know, the guy is humiliated by being forced to dress in women's clothing. This is one of those kinks that I see a lot of female dominance speaking out against. Most of us are not crazy about this particular kink. It is very, very male driven. A lot of female doms will be totally fine with a cross-dresser, but the whole idea, and I did a video on this, which I will link up above, and of course people didn't like what I had to say, but that happens sometimes. But yeah, so I find that the vast majority of female dominants that I know really don't want anything to do with forced femme or like any kind of sissy kind of kink, just because it just tends to be, I mean, like, why would I want to humiliate somebody by making them look like my gender, right? That just doesn't make any sense to me. But anyways, I know that there's like 1,000,001 excuses for why it's totally a fine thing. I still don't like it. You're not going to change my mind. And I'm certainly not in the minority. I would say the vast majority of female dominants are not into that kind of kink. But cross-dressing, totally fine. I've played with many cross-dressers in my life and enjoyed it, and some of them are very good friends of mine. No problems there. The idea of like hoods and having the face hidden, that is really, really big in a lot of femdom porn. Not necessarily like the big studio stuff, but more with the stuff that I make, and that style of stuff where it's like the amateur stuff, because a lot of the guys that are in it just don't want to have their face out there, because this isn't a job for them. This is just like, you know, oh, okay, I can, you know, have some playtime with this person if we film it. So they're covering their face for anonymity rather than kink. We just try to make it work with the whole thing. So a lot of times in real life, you know, we want to be able to see the face, see the reaction, everything else. Now, obviously, those of you who've seen a little more of my dungeon know that there's a huge rack of gas masks and masks and hoods and stuff like that in my dungeon, because my partner really, really likes hoods and masks and that sort of stuff. Now, certainly there's people that are fine with it. We like to play with that sometimes, but a lot of the time I want to see his face. I want to see the reaction. I want to see that look in his eye when I do something to him. So, you know, it's, you're going to find, and a lot of people just don't like hoods because they find it creepy when you can't see the face. So be aware of that. But yeah, it's not a super common thing, and it's just a kink that people use sometimes. And I know that there are a lot of guys who are really into it because it's fun, like sensory dab and all that. But again, it's playtime stuff. Oh, this is one that I love, the angry dom. I've been told so many times that I can't be a proper dom because I'm not mean and angry, and I'm just really too nice. Because we see in porn this woman who's screaming and doing angry and pissed off, but she's still playing with the guy for some reason, even though she really, really hates him. And it's just sort of like, no. I mean, like, most dominant women I know are friendly and happy, and, you know, will chat with their partners and whoever they're playing with, and it'll be light and fun. Sometimes we do serious scenes, sure, that's totally possible. And some people have a style that is more serious. But me, I like to laugh and have fun when I'm playing. I mean, it's play. I should be enjoying it, right? But I just don't understand why I would play with somebody I hate, really, when it comes down to it. Porn tends to be very male-focused because that's the intended audience. But in reality, most dominant women want something that is a little more focused on them, or just the couple in general, with them in the lead. In porn, the dom always seems to be young, thin, you know, often white, in high heels, conventionally attractive, in like, you know, a couple of $1,000s worth of leather or latex. Where in reality, dominant women are all shapes and sizes, all ages. In fact, you'll find that a lot of them skew a bit older, into their 30s, just because sometimes it takes a little time to build the confidence to be able to come out and say you're a dominant woman. It's changing. I'm seeing a lot more younger women coming out and enjoying their own dominance. But yeah, just know that sometimes like it does skew a bit older, and all shapes and sizes and abilities and you know, orientations and everything else. Like, anybody can be a dominant woman. So, well, I guess you have to be a woman first, but, and by being a woman first, I mean identifying as a woman, not necessarily a cis woman. Just gotta make sure we're clear on that one. Oh yes, and when we play, a lot of us just want to be comfortable. Like, you know, if I'm doing a hardcore flogging scene, that is a lot of work. If I'm doing a lot of bondage, I've got to move around a lot. I need to be in clothing that is comfortable, not, you know, something that's really restrictive and I can't move in. You know, so don't expect, you know, $1,000 of latex just for, like, you know, oh, let's stay home and play nights. So in porn, a lot of times it's a really passive male sub, and he just kind of lies there, and then the dominant woman does stuff to him. In reality, you know, nobody likes a dead fish, right? Like, we want back and forth. I mean, obviously, if you're bound in a way that you can't move, you're not going to be able to do much, but we've done that to you on purpose. You know, but we want interaction, we want reaction. A lot of people find that's what's in it for them for play, is the reaction of their partner. In porn, often there is this concept of there's no PIV sex or receptive sex on the dominant woman's part, because that would make her not dominant. In real life, there's a lot of dominant women who enjoy PIV sex, who enjoy, you know, being the receptive partner for sex. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, if they're a dominant woman, they're gonna want what they want, basically. And penetration does not equal dominance, right? We need to get this idea out of our heads. I think that it's a very, very toxic kind of idea that we'll talk about more when we get into videos about strap-on play, which will be coming up very soon. Porn often has a very, like, cock-focused, penis-centric sort of thing going on, and that's generally not the way it is in real life. Usually it is, you know, enjoyable activities for both people, and if we're talking sexually, then obviously, you know, it's gonna have to be a bit of back and forth, or more to the dominant woman's side of things rather than you know, the penis getting entertained. In porn, the guys always seem to have a constant boner. Like, it's always hard. In real life, that is rarely the case. A lot of guys have a hard time maintaining an erection when they are, you know, getting pegged, or when they are getting beaten really hard, or, you know, just in a scene that lasts a couple of hours. Like, it's, you know, unrealistic to expect to have a hard-on for that entire time. And I've seen guys that freak out and worry that they're going to be offended, that the woman they're playing with is going to be offended if they don't have a boner constantly. And it's like, no, we need to be realistic here. You can't be in that constant state of arousal the whole time. So, yeah, don't worry about that. It's not realistic. In porn, of course, nothing ever goes wrong. In real life, I wish it was like that, but it's not. Things go wrong. Oopsies happen. Hopefully they're minor oopsies, like, oopsie, I forgot to bring that toy over here and now we can't use it, rather than oopsie, I hurt you in a way that we didn't agree to. But, you know, mistakes happen, accidents happen, stuff goes wrong. Like, you know, sometimes the rope gets tangled and then you don't look cool anymore, or whatever it is. So just, you know, don't get down on people if these kind of things happen. Okay, I've kind of talked about pegging a few times, but in porn, the pegging is always absolutely brutal, and it has the biggest toy possible on the strap-on. And in real life, that's not realistic, right? Like, I mean, you can do pegging that hurts if that's what you're into, but I mean, you know, if you're wanting to do anal sex, you know, most people want it to be enjoyable, and use a reasonable toy. So, I mean, certainly you can have painful anal sex if you want, if that's your thing, but most people prefer more pleasurable side of things. And oh yes, the final thing that I always kind of laugh about when I'm watching these kind of porn videos is that the dom will be like receiving oral sex, but she will look bored out of her mind, you know, and the guy will just be like lapping at it like, you know, and it's just like, that is the most unappealing thing I have ever seen in my life. And then that was my great impression of bad oral sex. And I'm just like, why would you put up with that if you're bored? Like, if you're the dominant woman, just tell him, no, this sucks. Anyways, guys, I think the important thing to remember there is that porn isn't real life. And so if you've got expectations from porn, you may need to temper them if you want to experience this in real life, because it's just, I mean, porn is a fantasy. And while in real life we can have some fantasies and enjoy that, it's unrealistic to keep it going all the time. So I just always want to encourage people to have realistic expectations when they enter into the BDSM world. And I don't think porn gives us realistic ideas about it. I mean, it doesn't give us realistic ideas about pretty much anything, so this is no different. Anyways, I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you very much for watching this video, and if you'd like to see anything else on the subject of, you know, BDSM porn, please let me know. I will do my best to accommodate. Anyways, guys, thanks very much, and I will see you in the next video.